Motor oil is required in the engine to ensure proper lubrication. If your mechanic for some reasons has twisted fingers or shaking hands, the oil could spray on the motor during the oil change procedure. But if it's not your mechanic's fault, what would cause oil to spray all over the engine, and what can be done about it? It's never normal to have oil sprayed on the engine, but some issues are easy to resolve. Let's take a closer look at the causes of sprayed oil and how to fix this issue. It's the Car Problems YouTube channel. Subscribe and let's get started. Oil cap loose. Oil caps are crucial. Its purpose is to prevent dirt and impurities from entering the engine. The oil could begin to spray up onto the engine if the oil cap is either missing or loose. In addition, dirt can now enter the engine and seriously harm it. It's best to get a replacement oil cap as soon as there is damage to the oil cap. You shouldn't put it off because replacing the oil cap is inexpensive. The cap is not universal, just like the oil dipstick is not. Make certain that the replacement you buy fits your car. Oil dipstick is not seated properly. You can estimate how much fluid is in the engine using the oil dipstick. It's the component you remove to determine whether the engine needs more oil. It can cause a lot of problems if the dipstick is not fully inserted. Oil can leak when the engine is under pressure, causing the levels to fall dangerously low. If the dipstick won't insert, it's possible that it's not the right one for your car. These components are not all-purpose. In the absence of that, it's possible that the tube has become damaged or that something is obstructing it. Leaking oil filter. The filter may be the issue if you recently changed your oil and now see fluid all over the engine. Most manufacturers advise replacing the filter every time you change your oil. However, there might have been a big mess created because the filter wasn't installed correctly. When visiting an unfamiliar lube location, drivers run into this issue. It's prudent to avoid making decisions based solely on price for this reason alone, as you might encounter more serious problems. The oil filter must be changed once more in order to resolve this issue. Additionally, a fresh rubber gasket would need to be installed. Overfilled engine oil. Every engine needs a specific volume of oil. Controlling the fluid level requires knowing the motor oil capacity. You should gradually refuel the engine after changing the oil. Keep an eye on the levels and stop before it crosses the max line. The crankcase pressure will increase and the motor may discharge hot liquid if there is too much oil in the engine. The warranty would be nullified if this spray got on the engine. Damage may result if the engine runs low. Leaking gasket. You should check the engine and all of its gaskets if you notice oil dripping onto it. There are numerous gaskets in your engine that keep the oil inside the machine. The gasket may leak if parts have been over-torqued and become deformed. It's also possible that the gasket wasn't originally installed properly. The intake manifold, head gasket, and valve cover gasket are the three main ones that leak onto the engine. Oiling hot oil spews out from between the engine and cylinder head when the head gasket ruptures. High crankcase ventilation pressure. The pressure inside the crankcase is controlled by the positive crankcase ventilation valve. When this component breaks down, the pressure may get too high and cause oil to blow out of the dipstick. Incorrect oil levels or engine blow-by are other potential causes of the high pressure. In either case, permanent harm will result, so don't take chances. How to fix. You should act right away if you notice an engine leak at all. First of all, clean the engine. The oil from the engine must first be cleaned off before moving on. Work only with a cool engine. Any dirt or dry debris that can be cleaned with a brush should be removed. If you don't have the time to do the detail work, you can also hire a professional to clean the engine. Engine services are provided by a lot of regional car washes and expert detailers. Start the engine. Wait a few minutes after starting the engine. Until the oil begins to leak, let the engine run or give it a quick spin. If you choose to drive the car, the oil may blow more frequently than you anticipate, making it more challenging to pinpoint the source. Look for any signs of leaks. It's time to examine the engine now. Now that the surface is clean, it should be simple to identify the source of the oil. If you are unsure of what you are seeing, you might want to consult the service manual. Diagrams and schematics are provided in the factory service manual. Find the reason for the high crankcase pressure. You need to conduct additional diagnostics to identify the cause of the oil leak if the dipstick keeps blowing up and high crankcase pressure is the culprit. Make sure the oil level is where it should be by checking it first. The diagnosis could become more difficult after this. The PCV valve and engine compression both need to be checked. Contact a professional. Not everyone is capable of working on the engine. Visit a mechanic if you are unfamiliar with the engine issues. The motor is too costly and significant to gamble with. Hope the information was useful for you. If so, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel.